All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Omnius Podcast. This is episode 85. I've recorded so many 85s that we'll just make this the official 85th episode. But today, I want to bring you a message that a lot of people really do need to hear. And I feel like a lot of people overlook this message because oftentimes they hear it, they get onto it for maybe a good week or so, and then they go right back into their old ways. But this year, I actually want you to encourage yourself and to push yourself to actually stay on course and on task with this specific message. And what we're going to be talking about today is talking about where you want to be in life and why you're not there. A lot of us have goals. We have these, New Year resolutions, and we want to pursue a certain lifestyle. We want to pursue a certain career. We want to live a certain type of way, but our mind, our habits, our beliefs keep holding us back from where we want to go and who we want to be. We know our potential. Some of us know the talent that we have. Some of us know the things that we have to do to get there. But some of us have self-doubt. Some of us have self-pity. Some of us have self-hate. And if you always see what's the common factor here, it's not the devil. It's not the government. It's not somebody suppressing you or oppressing you. It has everything to do with self. All of your problems, all of the things that you are going through right now has to do with self. And today, I want to break down to you your particular habits, the things that you might personally be going through in order for you to rearrange your life and turn it around. Now, you can't look at my lifestyle and the way that I'm living and, be like, well, you upstanding and you living this and you got this type of money, all this type of stuff. Now I'm doing good for myself, of course, but I'm not where I want to be. I'm not all the way satisfied. I'm content, but I'm not all the way satisfied to where I want to be. I understand the blessings that I have in this lifetime. I understand how I'm blessed. I understand, where I'm at in life and the people that I have around me, my family, et cetera, et cetera. I understand the platform that I have built for myself, the multiple streams of income that I have built for myself, and I am extremely thankful for that. But I'm not where I want to be. I want to pursue more. I want to be more. The Omnius Rome brand is a beautiful brand. It's a beautiful brand that I have built for myself, and I'm very thankful for it. But I want to do more. I want to be more. I want my face on different platforms. I want my face on more platforms. I want my message and my brand and what I stand for to spread throughout different corners of the earth. And so all of it starts here with this mindset that I'm going to attempt to instill within your mind today. So we're going to be dealing with the only way and the only key to changing your life is by changing yourself. Everything has to do and everything has to start back with doing the rearrangement of your mind. In the good book, the Holy Bible. In the good book, it says in Romans chapter 12, and this is actually one of my favorite scriptures in there, believe it or not, and I'm not religious, but in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it tells you to be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may prove the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. You cannot be successful in life. You cannot pursue where you want to be in life. You cannot become the Almighty, the one who is supposed to conquer the earth and have full authority. You can't be that artist that you want to be. You can't be that successful doctor or nurse that you want to be. You can't be the successful content creator or marketer that you want to be, or whatever you want to pursue in your everyday journey without first transforming and renewing the mind. Everything starts back to the subconscious mind and also your habits. You have to go back and really think on what are your particular habits and what are your patterns that are self-sabotaging, that are detrimental to your everyday journey. And so before we get into this message, I want you to quickly like this video. If you like what you're hearing right now and you think this is going to be very influential to you, like the video, share this with a couple of people. If you think, even before you listen to everything that I have to say, if you're listening to this on YouTube, share this with a couple of people. If you're listening to me on Spotify, what's good with it? Make sure that you follow me on Spotify, turn on your notifications for the next message. And if you're listening to me on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, make sure that you turn on your notifications on there as well. All right. But I want to introduce to you a book before we get into anything further. And this is called From Poverty to Power by James Allen. All right. A book that will help you to awaken your true potential. Now, this is one of the 3 books that I bought this past weekend. One of the other books that I bought that was also written by James Allen was As a Man Thinketh. And the other book is To Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, those 2 other books I have not read yet, but this book I have read all the way up to the 3rd chapter. And this is a gem. I highly recommend that you get this book right here, From Poverty to Power by James Allen. And so I wrote some notes and I also have some highlights here. All right. Just so you don't think I'm playing around. All right. I do have some highlights here on the book information that we are going to be discussing. And so in this book, or in this chapter specifically, and the chapter is called The Way Out of Undesirable Conditions. And I think this is a very important message because a lot of us, when it concerns us as Black people, we hold ourselves back from our true potential and the way that we can truly live in this everyday journey because a lot of us have what we call victimhood. A lot of us like to play the victim. A lot of us like to victimize, who we truly are, how we are supposed to go about our everyday journey. Now, if you listen to a lot of conscious pages and a lot of conscious platforms, the ongoing narrative with Black people in society is that we are the most disrespected, the most targeted, the most oppressed, the most overlooked, the minority, the marginalized, yada, 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 yada. And it's this ongoing narrative that keeps Black people at the bottom of the barrel and everybody else who have surpassed that programming on top of them. And so something that I used to say back in the day when people used to have this narrative of Black women are the most disrespected, unprotected, and neglected is that you can't call yourself a sidewalk and get mad when people step on you. You in this romanticism of using these words like king and queen and God and goddess and so on and so forth. They love to use these terminologies and don't even understand the meaning behind most of the terminologies that they use. You can't have a nation of kings. You can't have a nation of queens. Everybody has to play their own particular role in a kingdom, in a valley, in a city. You see what I'm saying? Everybody can't play king. Everybody can't play queen. And don't get it misconstrued. I don't, combat, the women who want to call me king or who want to call me God, or when I greet a brethren and they want to call me God, whatever the case is, right? But a lot of that is just wordplay. A lot of it is just playing a role, is dressing up. It's not even real. Most of that is no different than when you go to church and you greet your elders and them and everything like that. Of course, it can be a form of respect, but it's the same thing. It's just a different flavor. It's a different expression. So, when you transfer from the church to the conscious community, nothing has changed other than your styling of dressing, literally. So the subconscious mind hasn't changed. All you did was just replace God with the ancestors or God with the Orishas. So you're still looking for an outside source to give your homage and your praise and your worship to, when it should be going from within. You should be searching within yourself in order to find that power, in order to find that God, in order to find that ancestral power that you need to live and pursue your everyday goals in your journey. So one of the main things that is holding us back, the number one thing that's holding us back as a people, is victimhood. A lot of us want to feel sorry for ourselves. A lot of us want to feel down for ourselves. A lot of us have an identity crisis. A lot of us don't know who we are. So many people like to combat or like to deny that they have African heritage. And we're not going to make this whole podcast about that, but it sounds very stupid for us as African descent people who have African, Afroid, Negroid features to be like, we're not African. We don't have any type of African ancestry. It shows a high level of self-hatred, and not to say that you should care about how other people see you, but you can't gain respect from other people and other nations of people if you don't even know who you are. If you're going by an identity that you haven't even solidified within yourself, much less with other people. You want to be respected as Black people, but you have Black people who don't even want to be called Black. And that's a high level of self-hatred, and also a level of, an identity crisis to where you are confused about who you truly are. And that's due to slavery, and that's due to trauma, because you want to disassociate from that pain. You have identified Africa or your history with such trauma and with such pain. You have never really looked at the grand scope of who you truly are. You never looked at the beauty of Africa, the beauty of the history of the people of Africa, or the beauty of the history of your culture and your people as a whole. You want to disassociate from it because of what they have programmed you to see yourself as. And so the same thing applies to when they like to use these terminologies as marginalized and oppressed and minorities. And so they have used these words and they have programmed it into your subconscious mind to where now you don't see yourself as a god. You don't see yourself as the one who created the gods. You don't even see yourself as to be a supreme being on this world. You have been made to see yourself as just a human being, an American, I'm just trying to get a slave, a field Negro. Like, we have even tried to romanticize the terminology of calling ourselves field Negroes and house Negroes. It has gotten to that point, and we fail to understand what we do to ourselves when we try to do these type of things. So a lot of us, we stay in this form of self-pity because we continue on with this narrative. And I have no doubts that, the next time that another trend of police brutality comes around, the same thing's going to recirculate. That we the most marginalized, the most oppressed, the most disrespected, and y'all gonna go back chanting, which is just another reprogramming of the subconscious mind, chanting "I can't breathe" and "no justice, no peace" and "hands up, don't shoot." Just disrespecting yourself, degrading yourself, begging, pleading to somebody for justice, begging and pleading to somebody for equality and for liberation when you should be going for that yourself. If you read Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, he tells you even in that book himself that the black man in America cannot beg on his knees for what he wants in this world. He has to do for himself. And that's exactly what James Allen is telling you as well, is that the black man, or if you don't even have to be Black. If you listen to me and you white, Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, whatever the case is, you have to do for yourself. You can't go around waiting for somebody to do something for you. You can't go around waiting for somebody to save you. And I'm not even talking about Jesus. I'm talking about you waiting for another pandemic. You waiting for, another stimulus check, or you waiting for the world to stop in your favor. You have to go out and do for self. You have to go out and pursue your goals, pursue your dreams. You can't be down and out because something didn't go your way or because you don't like how your predicament is. Even in the book, and I'm going to read some of the stuff in the book in a second, but even in the book, it tells you that a lot of the things that are going on in this world, 95% of the time, it's because of you. You have nobody to blame for your outcome or your circumstances or your situations but yourself, because you have stuck around and laid on your ass for so long that you just been content with just being sorry. You just been content with not doing enough. And while you watching everybody else pursue their dreams and being successful, now you want to be the Scrooge. Now you want to be all grumpy. You want to be jealous and envious because all these other people just put pen to paper. Both of y'all got the same dreams. Both of y'all have the same potential, the same power, the same spark, the same energy, the same amount of effort, the same amount of potential to pursue your dreams. The only difference between you and that other person is that person chose to wake up early. You want to stay waking up at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. That person chose to wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning so that they can start their day earlier so that they can pursue their dreams. You don't want to make the sacrifices. I heard a pastor yesterday morning. Make this quote saying that a boy is selfish, but a man is sacrificial. And I thought that quote in itself spoke out to me because in the Bible, it tells you that a boy will be immature and will do boyish things. But when he becomes a man, he puts away childish things. It's childish for you to think that you can't pursue your dreams because you don't want to wake up early. It's childish to say that you don't want to pursue, getting a better health life or being in better shape because you don't want to go to the gym. It's childish for you to think that you can't go and work out because you ain't got the right type of gym clothes or you ain't got the right type of gym wear. It's immature and childish for you to think that you can't pursue your dreams or you can't have a certain amount of money because you're black. It's immature. It's childish. You have to make a certain type of sacrifice where you have to either sacrifice being around certain people. You have to sacrifice a certain type of mindset. You have to sacrifice, a certain type of routine. You have to change your routine, your ritual in order to get an outcome. I've said this in previous podcast episodes that your lifestyle and the way that you style your life is a ritual. That goes for me too. I understand some of the things that I need to do better in order for me to have a bigger platform or to have, bigger engagement, whatever the case is. One thing for me, I don't like doing live streams. Personally, I despise doing live streams and even more so, being interviewed by people or interviewing with people or because I like just being to myself. But that's a breakage that I have to, or that's a boundary that I have to break. That's something within myself that I have to build a routine of to where I have to go live weekly. I have to force myself to be in spaces where I'm not comfortable at so that I can grow. I can't make this excuse that I don't want to do live streams because I don't feel like it. I want to do live streams because I want to be talking to people and be around people. And listen, life ain't always going to be the way that you want it to be. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't just always have it your way. This ain't Burger King, At BK, have it your way. You rule. It's just not going to be. It just it just can't happen that way. You have to make certain sacrifices. You have to change certain things within your life to get the type of results that you want in your life. So you have to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. Kobe Bryant will wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just to pursue his dreams as being one of the GOATs. I'm not saying that you should wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but you should think about waking up a little earlier, having your day-to-day life being scheduled out, having a planner. Don't make drastic changes, make little changes. You see what I'm saying? Make little changes each day to pursue your goals. Because if you try to make a drastic change, if you wake up at 9 o'clock, you be like, oh, I'm gonna wake up at 5 o'clock. You're gonna wake up probably like 8:30. You can't make that drastic change. If you wake up at 9 o'clock and you want to wake up at 6 o'clock, make the effort to start waking up maybe 7:30. Once you make a habit of waking up at 7:30, then make a habit of waking up at 6:30. Once you make a habit of waking up at 6:30, then you can start trying to wake up at 6 o'clock. But you have to make little changes within your life in order to pursue the type of lifestyle or to pursue the type of journey. I should say to pursue the type of life that you want to live, to be the person that you want to be. Because how can you say that you want to be, making six figures, and you saying you want to make, you want to have this big online business, you want to have this big studio, you want to pursue certain things in your life, and yet you can't even make up your bed. Something as little as that. You can't even clean up your bedroom. You can't even make your own bed. You can't even keep your word to people. Little things that are drastic. I'm talking about that are very important and significant in the business world is keeping your word, being consistent, being persistent. But you can't be that six-figure marketer. You can't be that six-figure content creator. You can't be that artist that everybody's going to be listening to on Spotify if you can't even clean up your bed, if you can't even make your bed, if you can't even keep your word to people, if you can't be kind and nice to people. You're not going to go anywhere in life. It's the little things that count. It's being of somebody who has self-control, somebody who has peace, somebody who's content, somebody who always finds the positives out of the negatives, somebody who always can turn their lemons into lemon cake. You can't go anywhere in life being pitiful, being condemning, being a bully. You're not going to go anywhere in life. You might have, a little 5-10 seconds of fame, but it's as the Bible even says, right? And I'm only going to be quoting the Bible from time to time only because there are, I have an audience who are only familiar with, these type of passages. But what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So you have to make certain sacrifices. There are certain people that you can look at and, they can be an example to you. They can, it could be people that you can learn from, and you can take little things from them and then embody your own particular routine, but you have to make a certain sacrifice. And some people, they will make excuses, and I've been one to make excuses. I've been known to be one to make excuses for anything. And it's very interesting when you study the mind. Your mind will make excuses for you and will trick you into thinking you're doing something to benefit yourself. Let's say you want to work out every day. From Sunday to Saturday, you're saying, I want to work out every day. I'm going to try and make an effort to work out every day. The first day goes good. You go to the gym, you get your full body workout, you go out, you get your food plan in order. Everything goes swell. Tuesday comes, your body aching a little bit. First thing in your mind, you don't really got to go to the gym. You put in work. You was putting in work yesterday, like you was putting in work. You ain't really got to go to the gym today. Now you over here like, no. I ain't got to go as hard as I did yesterday, but I'm gonna still go. You getting ready. Your mind telling you, like, yo, you ain't even really got to really work out though. Like, all you got to do is just go on the treadmill. All you got to do is just do the Stairmaster for a few minutes. Maybe you should just go for a little walk in the park or something. Tricking you into thinking that just doing the little things is better than your actual goal, which is to work out every day. When instead, you don't have to do a full body. You could work on certain parts of your body. It could be lower body, and then upper body, and then push, and then pull, and then triceps, and then back. There's different workouts that you can do at the gym, being in the gym. You know what I'm saying? But your body, because your mind has been programmed for a certain type of routine for a certain amount of years, or whatever the case is, it's going to continue to try and trick you and program, or trick you and give you these different ideas and try to talk you out of what you're unfamiliar with and what you're uncomfortable with. But let's say Tuesday, you pass the test. You go to the gym, and instead of doing a full body intense workout, you do upper body, and you good. Wednesday come, And you might be even a little more achy. And then your body's like, okay, I think this should be a rest day. This should be a rest day. You should rest. You should, you know what I'm saying? Watch some TV, do some work. You know what I'm saying? All this type of stuff. Or even more so, you might be needing to clock in. You might be one of those people, you know, you have to clock in for work. You know, after you clock out, you may not want to go to the gym. Your body telling you, yo, you've been putting in 2 days of going to the gym and you just worked a 9 to 5? Fam, come on now. But all you have to do is go to the gym for an hour and a half maybe. But in your mind it's telling you, you just got out, you just clocked out at 5, and then you're going to get home by 7. Like, do you really want to do? And it's going to continue, that's that programming, to try and talk you out of pursuing your goal. Even before you go to work. You could go to the gym before you go to work, before you do that 9 to 5. Your mind is still going to try and play games on you. You waking up 6 o'clock in the morning so you can go to the gym when you know you got work at 9. You know what you got to do when you go to work? You're a construction worker. You got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do a presentation. You're going to need energy. Don't you know you get exhausted when you get, it's your programming. Because now the programming is being unfamiliar with a certain habit or routine that you're trying to build. It's screaming like a baby. It's screaming. Like I remember the first time that I went on the Stairmaster, and I straight on just went on the Stairmaster, and I was on 7, and I hit over 500 steps. Right, by the time I got to 5 minutes, everything in my body was telling me to stop. Everything. I mean, I lied to you not. Everything in my body was telling me stop. Like we through, nigga. Like, what in the world are you doing? I get the 7-8 minutes screaming, eyes balling out and everything. Not literally, but internally, screaming, stop, nigga, stop. What are you doing? Like, that's what was going on in me. I get to 10 minutes, I was so happy. Because my body was unfamiliar with the routine and habit that I was trying to build for myself. Now I can casually go on the Stairmaster for 10 minutes and it won't even affect me like that. I had to go like 20-30 minutes in order for me to get like a real workout in the Stairmaster. And so that's a routine that I have built within myself, and that's what you have to do. You have to push yourself to your goal. So you get to Wednesday, you pass that test. You wake up early, you go to the gym. We get to Thursday. Thursday, all of a sudden, you ain't feeling it. You ain't feeling everything in your body telling you, stay down. Do not get up, stay down. And it might be that time where you slip up. But just because you slip up on Thursday doesn't mean that you give up and you don't go on Friday. You slip up on Thursday, you learn from Thursday, and that might be a little good rest day. You know, you've been working out from Sunday to Wednesday, whatever the case is, or maybe from Monday to Wednesday. That's a good little rest day that you had. You know what I'm saying? From Sunday, you know what I'm saying? You didn't go on Thursday, big whoop. But don't beat yourself up over it and then be like, oh, I ain't going no more. And you're going to keep beating yourself up. You don't go Friday, you don't go Saturday, you don't go Sunday. Now you went back to your old habit. You went back to the old programming in your mind. This is something that you have to work at. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not telling you to make a drastic change of not working out to working out 7 times a day. Maybe work out 3 times a day. Then work out 4 times a day. And when you get to the hang of that, work 5 times a day. If that's something that's consistent for you, working 5 times a day, and you don't need to work 6, 7, be consistent in that 5 times a day. And then you can see the results. And then you can drastically, slowly change your eating habits. Then you can work at your sleeping schedule and everything like that. Everything, it just builds up. But it all starts with you. In the book, it tells you that the most soul degrading or the most self-degrading thing that you can do to yourself, something that just completely annihilates you, eats at your soul, is self-pity, feeling sorry and feeling bad for yourself. And you don't get nowhere in life with these mindsets that the lower class or the oppressed or the marginalized people think. You don't get anywhere in life having this mentality or this mindset that you're just a nobody and you're not going to you can't pursue anything in life because of look where you came from and look at the people around you and look at your family and look at your wealth and look at your income and look at your life. All the people who have success didn't come from people of wealth and people of family. There's only 1% of the people in the world that come from really real generational wealth. The people who are successful, like Kanye West and so on and so forth, these people didn't come from rich people. They came from the slugs. And the only difference between you and Kanye West or Henry Ford or so on and so forth is the results, is consistency and the routine that you choose to make for yourself. Kanye chose to deem himself as the greatest. Now he's in the talks of being the greatest. Kanye or Kendrick Lamar said that he was the greatest. Now he's in the talks of being the greatest. Muhammad Ali was in his early 20s talking about he was the greatest and pretty and he could beat anybody in the world. Now he is in the talks of being the greatest. You have to change your mindset and reprogram yourself to think of yourself as the greatest. And as a man thinketh, so shall he be. But if you think of yourself, I ain't all that great. I ain't really all that. This ain't going to pick up nowhere. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. Jesus even said that as a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you sowing in your mind that you ain't all that great, if you sowing in your mind that you're not even going to make that video, you're not going to make that reel, you're not going to make that song, or you're not going to write that poem, or you're not going to put in that application because you don't think of yourself as getting it. You don't think you're good enough to get it. You don't think you're good enough to succeed or to go viral, whatever the case is. That as a person so shall they also reap. It all goes back to you. All of this goes back to you. If you continue to think of yourself as a goddamn slave, then that's what you're going to be. It's not, and this is something that I completely despise, is being humble. What the fuck does being humble have to do with anything? Why do you want to be humble? And that's what they have taught society. That's what society teaches people, is to be humble and just compromise and stay conformed, to be fearful. And they have never taught you about your true value. They never taught you about your true potential. They just want you to use your power and your potential and your energy for them. But you have to flip the switch. You have to turn the tables, and you have to really have the system and the game play for you. You have to learn how to play the game. You have to learn how to play the system so that the system and the game can work in your favor. And there are so many people out here, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have played the game, played the system, and are teaching people how to play it. You're the only Negro who want to sit here down and out talking about you oppressed and you can't get anywhere in life. And people are there are 16, 17-year-olds who are playing the system right now. You're no different than them. I don't care where you came from. I don't care who your mother and your daddy is. I don't care if you didn't have a daddy growing up and you came from an abused family and this happened to you. You have to get to a point to where you have to do the self-work within yourself in order for you to get to where you want to go. You have to make a decision within your life to where you're not going to let certain circumstances and things that you have gone through to hold you down. That's all you're going to say. You 30 years old talking about that my mama told me that I wasn't great. My daddy used to spank me. 30 years old, fam. I'm 24. You 30 years old, still making the same excuses. And that's why you just content with working a 12-hour shift. That's why you content sacrificing your life, yourself, your joy to somebody else. While you over here talking about Kanye sold his soul and these celebrities be selling their souls, and look at Beyonce, she sold her soul. But yet you selling yourself 12 hours. You selling yourself of your joy, of your sleep, of time that you could really have to yourself to live out your life. But you've been taught, you've been content. You've been taught to be content with just being regular, with just being average at best, when you could be so much more. You've been taught to just be content, not pursuing your dreams, but just keep dreaming. It's ironically, it's Martin Luther King Day. You've just been taught to just dream and not pursue. You've been taught to dream and never pursue or have goals for yourself in order for you to really go for them, to really make the certain risk in your life, to take risks, to take sacrifices. And I can personally speak from experience that I didn't really come from a background to where we are taught to really take risk. It was a struggle. And I mean, like, I really had to really battle with my family when I said that I wanted to go out and I wanted to work out and I wanted to, film projects and everything like that during 2020, 2021, during that timing with the pandemic, because my parents and people in my family were so scared and frightened about this imaginary thing swarming in the air. And something else that you also need to understand in this world is that the world is a reflection of you. So everything that you think in this world in terms of how you think the world is supposed to cooperate with you, that's what it's going to be. And your mind is so powerful. It's so powerful that the way that you condition your mind to think of how the world is supposed to go and work in your favor is how it's going to go. So if you think you just have bad luck and nothing ever goes your way and you can't find a man or you can't find a woman and you're just going to be single for the rest of your life and you just low down and you ain't never going to get healthy, you ain't never going to be in good shape, that's the way your life is going to go. And it doesn't stop. Conditioning never stops until you make the choice to reprogram your mind. In the Bible, and like I said, I'm going to keep making references. In the Bible, it metaphorically says that God will give up his people to a reprobate mind, and there will be a generational curse. And that's what you see with certain people in this world, is that they have a reprobate mind and they have this generational curse where they pass on this mindset and this mentality of feeling sorry for themselves and being down and out, and the poor being poorer while the rich get richer, and thinking that the rich is high class and they being oppressed, all this type of stuff. All of it is in your mind. It's an illusion. The only difference between you and the rich person is that they have studied the game and the system and they are playing it. You want to be in the game and in the system and just be content with just playing the game. They have studied the game, played the game, and now the game and the system is playing for them. When will your black ass get up, stop thinking you a goddamn slave, and really work that God energy that is within your goddamn self? When is it going to happen? When will you make the decision of deciding that you are that I am? When will you make the decision that you are God in the flesh, not a child of? And this brings me back to my original point about being humble, of how, like, there are people who feel so bad for themselves that they want other people to reflect them. And I can't do that. I can't afford the greatness that I have, the value and the potential that I have. I can't suppress that because you feel sorry for yourself or you don't think of yourself as greater than. I ain't saying I'm perfect in terms of how I see myself, but my self-esteem is way higher than a lot of niggas, a lot of people. And it's it's inconsiderate, but it's disgusting. It's disrespectful for somebody to come in my DMs or to come at me sideways and telling me I need to humble myself because I have identified myself with my potential. I have identified with my God identity, because I say that I am the I am within a body, that I am God in the flesh, that I can conquer anything that I put my mind to. You see what I'm saying? That I could do anything that I put my mind to, that I can pursue anything I want to pursue, that I am God manifested in a body. I am the supreme consciousness manifested in a body. And that anything that I desire, anything that I want to pursue in this lifetime, the supreme consciousness has my back, because me and that consciousness is one. And then people who don't even think of themselves as such will try to tell you to humble yourself. Humble is not the word, because I'm very humble. Even in saying that, I am very humble because I am just a reflection of you. And if you knew who you were, if you identified with the potential of the energy within yourself, of the God within yourself, you could be as such as well. You may not see the full manifestation of who I am, but guarantee where I am this year will not be the person you see next year. It just is what it is. But I'm walking in my manifestation of my power every single day. I work at it and I practice at it every single day, while you sit on your black ass thinking that you are a servant to a certain entity, that you have to serve and you have to worship and you have to give. I don't have to do that. If I'm going to give and worship and serve and sacrifice, it's going to be to myself. Yes, I apply myself to do what thou will, because I do the will of the Father, doing whatever so I will and desire, because I have found my purpose. And a lot of people have not found their purpose. A lot of people are walking on this everyday journey, they confused and just have been taught to conform. And a lot of people do know their purpose. A lot of people do know what internally they are supposed to be doing, but they choose not to work in it. Why? Because they're scared, because they're not willing to sacrifice, they're not willing to risk losing friends, losing relationships, looking weird or bad or whatever the case is, to just give up what they do and what they have been taught to be with and what they've been taught to be comfortable. I just said that. What they've been taught to be comfortable with and what they've been taught to just do to get by, and really take that risk to become that what they were supposed to be on this earth. And it's disheartening that you have a lot of people every day. I just had a woman tell me last night that she wants to be a Broadway star. She wanted to be a Broadway star, but now she works at McDonald's, or she works at, from time to time she'll go hopscotch from a market to a fast food restaurant, so on and so forth. But she wanted to be a Broadway actress, a Broadway star, an actress, and be on television. Why didn't you pursue that? There are so many opportunities. There are so many things that you could have done to become that what you wanted to be. But somebody talked you down. Somebody talked you out of it. And that's what typically happens, is that we've been suppressed to being average. We've been suppressed to just doing the normal thing that can get you some good money, some decent money, so that you can live in this lifetime. And people have taught you to be content with just being average. There are people out there who have talked you out of your glory. There are people who have talked you out of your own success. You could have been the next Kanye. You could have been the next greatest of all time. But it took that person, mother, father, brother, sister, wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, uncle, cousin. It took that one person to talk you out of it, and now you just living regular. You don't want to live the rest of your life dissatisfied, regretful, and then at the end of your life, you look back at everything that happened in your life, and nobody knows what really happens when you die. But let's just say you die and they replay your life, and then they show you how you could have went about your life, that could have made that light switch, that could have turned the tables, that could have really put you on board to how you wanted to live. And all it took was for you to post that video, to reach out to that one person, and you talked yourself out of it. And they show you all you had to do was just be consistent for a couple of years. All you had to do was just post that one video. All you had to do was just cut off that one friend who kept talking down on your success, on your career. But you didn't want to do that. You let your self-pity, you let your ego get in the way. And people might think, what does ego have to do with this? I thought ego would make you think that you're better than. No, sometimes your ego will suppress you from reaching your glory, thinking that you don't really have to do most, or you really don't have to take that risk because I don't want to. Ego isn't about you thinking you're better than. Ego has to do with your identity within yourself. And if you have a healthy ego, you can be a reflection for other people and to other people. But an unhealthy ego doesn't have to do with you thinking that you're better than other people. It's what you do in terms of survival, where I'm not going to do this because I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to take that risk, and I don't think that's the best option for me, and I want to do this and I want to do that. It's where the center of attention is around you, but for the wrong reasons. You have the wrong motives, and so your ego gets in the way. Ego has nothing to do with you thinking that you're better than another person. That's where we get the term, being egotistical, because people, they can be a little self-absorbed, get a big head and everything like that. But ego has more so to do with you being self-centered to a point to where It don't have to be that you think you're better than other people. It could be to the point to where you don't think you're greater or great, that you're good enough to really pursue the things that you want to pursue, to really advance in life, to really accomplish your goals. That's what the ego can do. You have to realign, not kill the ego, reframe the ego. See, what you've been taught on the right-hand path and within religion is to kill the ego, kill the flesh, all this other type of stuff. That's the surface level. What you're supposed to do is reframe your ego, realign your lower self so that it can tap in and be in alignment with your higher self, so then that you can then find your true self. Align your ego so that your identity, the I am, your ego, can then align itself with what is right. And so when dealing with your ego, all of that just deals with your self-imagery and how you see yourself. And believe it or not, a lot of people really think very bad of themselves. So whenever you hear somebody who might tell you, you need to humble yourself, you think too highly of yourself, it's because they think too lowly of themselves. Because if you're saying that you're the greatest and that you can accomplish anything that you can, and that you're just aligning yourself with the creator, the supreme consciousness, the God energy, the infinite reality that dwells within yourself, that dwells within everything else, and they're telling you that you need to calm down, you need to be humble, you need to lower ego, you need to hop off your high horse. All these things they will tell you to try and make you get on their level. If they tell you that you need to lower yourself down, it's because they think lowly of themselves. If they're telling you you think too highly of yourself, it's because they think too lowly of themselves. And so all of that has to do with, like, you really need to positively affirm yourself. You need to have positive affirmations for yourself if you think so bad and so lowly of yourself. And I do apologize if you hear things in the background. I do sometimes have to always emphasize that whenever I'm outside recording. But it's the truth. The truth of the matter is you have to find ways to reaffirm your self-imagery, to reaffirm your greatness and your glory. And for whatever reason, I don't know why religious people think affirmations are demonic. I mean, affirmations just really means to affirm or to decree something. No more than annihilation means to annihilate or destroy something. I mean, that's complete stupidity. I don't even know how people get to that. But affirmations are promoted in the Bible. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. You know, and these are things that you have to really, everything from like what I told you from before about transforming and renewing your mind. One of the major things of transforming and renewing the mind is repetition, affirmations, to reaffirm, to decree, to declare your identity. So one of the major things that's holding you back, aside from victimization, but it connects with it, is how you see yourself in all that negative talk. You have to change how you see yourself within yourself. And like, all you have to do is really just sit down and reevaluate who you are. If you think of yourself as low down and you're ugly and you're not attractive and nobody wants to be around you, and you feel like people don't see you in the best of light, and you don't think you're good enough to pursue your dreams, and you're not good enough to really pursue the highest of your career, or you don't deserve that promotion, or you don't think you look that good in terms of size, and you're not healthy. These are things that may hold you back from your true potential. It may hold you back from reaching that next step or that next level, from really processing, what it is truly that is holding you back from success. Really, something as little as you thinking that you're not good enough, a form of self-hatred to the point where you don't think you're good enough for another person. You self-sabotage relationships. It could just be something, your little insecurities and things like that. And I'm a person that loves mythology, right? So I'm somebody that always loves to really bring things back to a story. And so whether it's like Heracles and his labors, or whether it's Arthur fighting the dragon, you have to be the person to fight your dragon. You have to fight the final boss. You have to be Heracles, fighting in his labors and his trials and tribulations. You have to be the person to really be the hero, the Haru within your story. And you can't wait for anybody else to do it. You have to do it yourself. You have to fight your battle. You have to decree your glory, your victory, and be more than a conqueror. So within this book here, it gives you a whole lot of principles, and I'm only at chapter 3. But even in chapter 3, it gives you so many different principles and so many different gems on how you can really turn your life around to really pursue the life that you want to live. And everything goes back to yourself. Like I keep saying, it's not the government, it's not the system, it's not the Masons, the naughty, and it's nobody but yourself. The only person who is holding you back from being you and your true self and where you want to be in life is yourself. Stop pointing the finger at everybody else. Stop blaming everybody else for your shortcomings. Acknowledge your shortcomings. Acknowledge, your habits and your patterns. Be realistic with yourself and really look in the mirror and make that change. Like Michael Jackson said, really make the change on who you want to be in life. Don't blame your parents. Don't blame your upbringing. Don't blame your trauma and your experiences. Now, those things might be things that might be holding you back. Those might be things that you might have to deal with and you have to work with. But don't let that be an excuse for why you can't walk in your glory, why you can't bask in your glory. You may have had stuff happen to you as a kid. You may have seen things when you were little. You might have experienced things growing up in high school and so on and so forth. Don't let those things hold you back. Don't let that be an excuse for why you can't be where you want to be. There are so many people who have reached the highest of glories, the peaks of mountains, that have gone through way worse than you. That's not to minimize what you have gone through, but goddamn, stand up. Have some self-respect for yourselves. Have some self-love. Begin to love yourself. Learn how to love yourself, because nobody else will. You have to be there for you more than anybody else. You have to hold yourself accountable to everything that you do, whether it's good or bad. And you have to realign with yourself and ask the question, what am I doing to pursue the life that I want to live? Am I bettering myself, or, am I not bettering myself? Am I adding more to my life, or am I taking away from my life? It could be anything with like habits and addictions, whatever the case is. Anytime that little voice starts talking back to you, that old programming starts talking back to you, really sit and align yourself. Really reevaluate whether you have a sex addiction, watching the corn and everything like that, whether it's a drinking addiction, whether it's a smoking addiction, whatever's holding you back. Really reevaluate yourself and align yourself and really ask the questions, the hard-hitting questions on what does this do to advance me? What does this do to really upgrade me in my own personal life? You really have to sit down and ask yourself the questions that nobody else may not be willing to ask you. And so I want to conclude this podcast episode with reading from this book. And when I tell you that this book and what I'm about to read to you is hard hitting, it's very thought provoking. And I don't want to read too much of it, right? But I'm going to read different sections and I'm going to tell you when I'm stopping, right? But I'm going to start at page 22. And this basically essentially is like summarizing everything that I have talked about in this podcast episode. So on page 22, I'm starting at the part where it says, from the most trivial thought, word, or act. All right. From the most trivial thought, word, or act of man, up to the groupings of the celestial bodies, law reigns supreme. No arbitrary condition can, even for one moment, exist, for such a condition would be a denial and annihilation of law. Every condition of life is therefore bound up in an orderly and harmonious sequence, and the secret and cause of every condition is contained within itself. The law, whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap, is inscribed in flaming letters upon the portal of eternity, and none can deny it, none can cheat it, none can escape it. He who puts his hand in the fire must suffer the burning until such time as it has worked itself out, and neither curses nor prayers can avail to alter it. And precisely the same law governs the realm of mind. Hatred, anger, jealousy, envy, lust, covetousness. All these are fires which bum, and whoever even so much as touches them must suffer the torments of burning. All these conditions of mind are rightly called evil, quote unquote, for they are the efforts of the soul to subvert, in its ignorance, the law, and then they therefore lead to chaos and confusion within, and are sooner or later actualized in the outward circumstances as disease, failure, and misfortune, coupled with grief, pain, and despair. Whereas love, gentleness, goodwill, purity are cooling airs which breathe peace upon the soul that woes them, and being in harmony with the eternal law, they become actualized in the form of health, peaceful surroundings, and undeviating success and good fortune. A thorough understanding of this great law, which permeates the universe, leads to the acquirement of that state of mind known as obedience. To know that justice, harmony, and love are supreme in the universe is likewise to know that all adverse and painful conditions are also the result of our own disobedience to that law. Such knowledge leads to power and strength, and it is upon such knowledge alone that a true life and enduring success and happiness can be built. To be patient under all circumstances and to accept all conditions as necessary factors in your training is to rise superior to all painful conditions and to overcome them with an overcoming which is sure and which leaves no fear of their return, for by the power of obedience to law, they are utterly slain. Such an obedient one is working in harmony with the law, has in fact identified with the law, and whatsoever he conquers forever. Whatsoever he builds can never be destroyed. The cause of all power, as of all weakness, is within. The secret of all happiness, as of all misery, is likewise within himself. There is no progress apart from unfoldment within, and no sure foothold of prosperity or peace except by orderly advancement in knowledge. And so we're going to stop there, and we're going to skip to page 24, and I'm going to be reading from the part where it says to cease your complaining and fretting. Cease your complaining and fretting. None of these things which you blame are the cause of your poverty. The cause is within yourself, and where the cause is, there is the remedy. The very fact that you are a complainer shows that you deserve your lot, shows that you lack that faith which is the ground of all effort and progress. There is no room for a complainer in a universe of law, and worry is soul suicide. By your very attitude of mind, you are strengthening the chains which bind you and are drawing about you the darkness by which you are enveloped. Alter your outlook upon life, and your outward life will alter. Build yourself in the faith and knowledge, and make yourself worthy of better surroundings and wider opportunities. Be sure, first of all, that you are making the best of what you have. Do not delude yourself into supposing that you can step into greater advantages while it's overlooking smaller ones. For if you could, the advantage would be impermanent, and you will quickly fall back again in order to learn the lesson which you have neglected. As a child, at school must master one standard before passing unto the next. So before you can have the greater good which you so desire, you must faithfully employ that which you already possess. Even poverty and lack of time and leisure are not the evils that you imagine they are. And if they hinder you in your progress, it is because you have clothed them in your own weakness. And the evil that you see in them is really in yourself. Endeavor to fully and completely realize that insofar as you shape and mold your mind, you are the maker of your destiny. And as by the transmuting power of self-discipline, you realize this more and more, you will become to see that these so-called evils may be converted into blessings. Oh. Anywho. Let's see what the last one. Oh Lord. Let's see the last one. I'm gonna do this somewhere else. So when I recorded that, it was on Martin Luther King's Day, and from now is Thursday, so that was like what, almost 3 days ago, about 3 days ago. So let me finish off what I was actually trying to read so that I can conclude with this podcast episode. So we on page 24, and one of the things that I highlighted on this page was cease your complaining and fretting. None of these things which you blame are the cause of your poverty. The cause is within yourself, and where the cause is, there is remedy. The very fact that you are a complainer shows that you deserve your lot, shows that you lack the faith, which is the ground of all effort and progress. There is no room for a complainer in a universe of law. And worry is soul suicide. By your very attitude of mind, you are strengthening the chains which bind you and are drawing about you the darkness by which you are enveloped. Alter your outlook upon life, and your outward life will alter. Build yourself in the faith and knowledge, and make yourself worthy of better surroundings and wider opportunities. Be sure, first of all, that you are making the best of what you have. Do not delude yourself in supposing that you can step into greater advantages while it's overlooking smaller ones. For if you could, the advantage would be impermanent, and you would quickly fall back again in order to learn the lesson which you had neglected. As the child at school must master one standard before passing on to the next, so before you can have that greater good which you so desire, must you faithfully employ that which you already possess. The parable of the talents is a beautiful story illustrative of this truth. For does it not plainly show that if we misuse, neglect, or degrade that which we possess, be it ever so mean and insignificant, even that little will be taken from us? For by our conduct, we show that we are unworthy of it. Perhaps you are living in a small cottage and are surrounded by unhealthy and vicious influences. You desire a larger and more sanitary residence. Then you must fit yourself for such a residence by first of all making your cottage as far as possible a little paradise. Keep it spotlessly clean. Make it look as pretty and sweet as your limited means will allow. Cook your planned food with all care and arrange your humble table as tastefully as you possibly can. If you can't afford a carpet, let your rooms be carpeted with smiles and welcomes, fastened down with the nails of kind words driven in with the hammer of patience. Such a carpet would not fade in the sun, and constant use would never wear it away. And so we're going to stop it right there, and we're going to skip down a couple of paragraphs, and we're going to go right down to this one. It is useless to desire more time if you already wasting what a little you have. Let me read that again. It is useless to desire more time if you are already wasting what little time you have. For you would only grow more indolent and indifferent. Even poverty and lack of time and leisure are not the evils that you imagine they are. And if they hinder you in your progress, it is because you have clothed them in your own weakness, and the evil that you see in them is really in yourself. Endeavor to fully and completely realize that insofar as you shape and mold your mind, you are the maker of your destiny. And as, by the transmuting power of self-discipline, you realize this more and more, you will become to see that these so-called evils may be converted into blessings. You will then utilize your poverty for the cultivation of patience, hope, and courage, and your lack of time and gaining of promptness of action and decision of mind by seizing the precious moments as they present themselves for your acceptance. As in the rankest soul, the most beautiful flowers are grown, so in the dark soul of poverty, the choicest flowers of humanity have developed and bloomed. Where there are difficulties to cope with and unsatisfactory conditions to overcome, their virtue most flourishes and manifests its glory. We're going to skip down a little bit, and we're going to get down to what I was originally going to try and talk about when I was there at the park. So it says, do not complain that you are a slave, but lift yourself up by noble conduct above the plane of slavery. Before complaining that you are a slave to another, be sure that you are not a slave to self. Look within, look searchingly, and have no mercy upon yourself. You will find there perchance, slavish thoughts, slavish desires, and in your daily life and conduct, slavish habits. Conquer these, cease to be a slave to self, and no man will have the power to enslave you. As you overcome self, you will overcome all adverse conditions, and every difficulty will fall before you. Do not complain that you are oppressed by the rich. Are you sure that if you gain riches, you would not be an oppressor yourself? Remember that there is the eternal law, which is absolutely just, and that he who oppresses today must himself be oppressed tomorrow. And from this, there is no way of escape. Now I'm going to skip another paragraph and so, and we're going to go over to page 27. Shake off the delusion that you are being injured or oppressed by another, and try to realize by profounder comprehension of your inner life and the laws which govern that life that you are only really injured by what is within you. There is no patience more degrading, or there is no practice more degrading, debasing, and soul destroying than that of self-pity. Cast it out from you. While such a canker, did I say that right? A canker? This is an old ass book. While such a canker is feeding upon your heart, can never expect to grow into a fuller life. Cease from the condemnation of others and begin to condemn yourself. Condone none of your acts, desires, or thoughts that will not bear comparison with spotless purity or endure the light of sinless good. By so doing, you will be building your own house upon the rock of the eternal, and all that is required for your happiness and well-being will come to you in its own timing. There is positively no way of permanently rising above poverty or any undesirable condition except by eradicating those selfish and negative conditions within. And then the last quote I shall leave with you is, no matter how poor you are, there is room for self-sacrifice. I'm going to read that one more time. No matter how poor you are, there is room for self-sacrifice. And so what I'll leave with you today is that you may have been listening to this podcast episode, and before listening to this podcast episode, you have been insecure about your procrastination. You may have been, down and out about not being consistent with your content, not being consistent with one of your crafts, with learning that one particular skill, that one particular language, going to the gym, going to see that one person that you love, committed relationships. This varies throughout many different things. And before this, you may have been condemned. You may have been downing yourself and shaming yourself and just feeling like a piece of shit. But I'm here to let you know that stops today. No longer will you try to hold yourself down to what things you have been doing in the past. Today, you begin anew. And yes, I'm not even just saying that because it's a new year and it's a new month. Today is the day. If you haven't started yesterday, if you didn't start on New Year's, if you didn't start last week, or even the beginning of this week, today is the day that you can now make a change. But that change will never happen unless you want it to happen. And so you have to make the effort to recondition and reestablish the programming that is within your mind in order for you to get the outcome that you want. So you have to create a ritual and routine that is going to allow you to be that which you want to be and establish a new beginning, establish a new lifestyle to where other people are going to notice. They may not notice at first. And it might even get to a point to where you might be 3 months in, being consistent and striving for a certain character development about yourself. And there might be people talking down on you. You might be somebody that supposedly may not always hold themselves to their promises, but you've been consistent for however many days. And there are going to be people talking down on you, trying to bring up the past, trying to really bring you down on your efforts of being somebody different, of being a better person. And even when you hold yourself to that standard, they'll give you the bare minimum. Yeah, but everybody does. Trying to limit you, trying to suppress you, trying to make you feel bad about your own character development. And you should give yourself more credit. You should pat yourself on the back every now and then. You should look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I did a good job today. Even if it was as little as saying, like, if I'm going to make food for myself, I made food for myself. If I said I'm going to clean up my room, I cleaned up my room. And you should feel good about yourself about that, because it's the little things that count. You said that you was going to be there for that one particular friend, and you was there for that one particular friend. You said that you was going to read that one particular book, and you read that one particular book. And it's the little things that count. You ain't got to make drastic changes in your life in order to have improvement, in order to have progress. But it takes time for you to be the person that you want to be. This is not a overnight sensation. You have to understand that this is years of programming within your mind of whatever it is that you might be struggling with. I'm not saying it's going to take years for you to get over it, but it takes a certain amount of time for you to build a habit. I believe scientifically it takes somewhere between 14 to 21 days to create a habit. You can't be consistent within a week. How in the world do you think you're going to have progress within 21 days? Some people can't even really stay on one subject or one topic for 7 days. Do you have what it takes to be consistent and be diligent in whatever it is that you might need to focus on for 14 to 21 days? Do you have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month to really be consistent with whatever it is that you're trying to turn around? Some people, they can't stop drinking for a week. Some people, they can't stop smoking for a week. Some people, they can't stop getting off or watching certain things for a week. Can you really be focused for 2 weeks, for a month, for 30 days for your own self-improvement? How much do you really care about yourself? How much do you really love yourself enough for you to do this for yourself? What do you have to lose? Are you going to spend another 30 days feeling bad for yourself? Or are you going to actually take the opportunity today where you're going to stop playing a victim? You're going to stop, really looking down on yourself, stop judging yourself, stop thinking that you're lower than other people, and really make that change. You have nothing to lose. Focus so much on fear and the what ifs. You have to let go of the what ifs. The what ifs is what getting your ass the way it is now. You need to let go of your what ifs and really focus on what you can do and what you will do. If you focus more on what you can do and what you're going to do rather than on what if this don't work, and what if that person says this, and what if I can't do this, and what if I go back, and what if this doesn't work. Your what ifs is what is getting your ass the way it is now. Is what got your ass in the situation to begin with. You got to take a chance on you got to take a chance on yourself. You have to take a chance on yourself. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to lift you up off your feet. Nobody's going to try and encourage you and influence you to hit that gym. Nobody's coming here to encourage you and influence you to study, for you to conquer whatever habit it might be, to conquer whatever insecurities it might be, to conquer whatever it is about yourself that is causing you to slack in life. Today is the day that you make that change. Today is the day that you become the master of your own life, the master of your own fate. But that is all the time that I have for you today. Thank you for listening to this wonderful podcast episode. If you dearly liked everything that I had to say, make sure that you make yourself be known in the comment section below if you're listening to me on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube, like this video, share this with a person or two, share this with friends or family if they needed to hear this message. If this touched you, let me know in the comment section if this really is something that you really needed to hear. If you're listening to me on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you have you got me followed, got your notifications on so you get the next podcast episode as well. And once again, this is the book that I was quoting From Poverty to Power by James Allen. All right. So you got to make the change. You got to make the change. You got to be able, and even if you need help, there's nothing wrong with needing help. When I'm telling you that nobody's coming to save you, nobody's coming to really push you, that's not to say that you should, cast away helping hands, or that you shouldn't look for help, or that you shouldn't look for people to hold you accountable. These things help you in the process of you becoming that person that you want to be. So if you need people to help you, cope with whatever it is, if you need therapy, if you need, counseling or whatever the case is, if you need people to, mentor you or teach you, do it. But, a lot of the times our ego gets in the way. We think we could do everything on our own, but see, our issue is our ego gets in the way. And remember what I was talking about earlier about how the ego doesn't always dwell in, dealing with you thinking you're better than somebody else. Sometimes it deals in your, your slothness. Sometimes it deals in your lack of doing, Sometimes you so self-centered to a point to where you like, I ain't got the time to do this. I ain't got the time to do that. I'm too tired to do this. Or I can never do that. I'm not capable of doing this. And you get into this mindset of you limiting yourself from your true potential. And that's what you are doing. And that's what you got to get out of. You got to be able to be teachable, to be coachable, to be, able to be open to new ideas and new boundaries and new belief systems that you may have never been brought up to believe in. But that only takes when you really make that change within your mind.